Hey, Harpslingers, welcome to the Harpslinger podcast, where each and every week we hang out with the greatest harmonica players in the music business. If you're watching this on the Harpslinger YouTube page, make sure you hit the subscribe button, ding the bell. That way we can let you know when we have fresh new content coming out, which is weekly, by the way. And if you're watching this on the Honer Music Facebook page, there's a share button at the bottom. Share this to your own Facebook page. We sure would appreciate the support. All right, y'all. We are in for a great week here. My next guest is first hit the scene in the early 90s with his band G.Love and Special Sauce, incorporating roots, blues, soul, rock, and hip-hop. After an incredibly prolific career spanning 3 decades of recording and touring, he's nominated for a Grammy for his newest record, The Juice, in the category of Best Contemporary Blues Album. Please make him welcome to the show, everyone, the one and only G.Love. How you doing, G?
Hey, good, Jamie, man. Thanks for having me, and that's quite an introduction, man.
Well, hey, man, you deserve it. All of that is,
Thanks,
it's all
man.
the truth, man. Yeah, absolutely. You've been doing this for quite a while, and you're a hustler, you know?
Yeah, you just blink your eyes, and then
Yeah.
29 years ago by. So, yeah, I always think it's funny because I was just I was about 20 years. Yeah, I was 20 when we got our record deal and made our first record, and so I was the kid on the scene for a lot of years, and
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you're not the kid anymore, man. You're like the OG. You got other kids coming up below you, so yeah, getting old's a bitch, right? And then during COVID, I stopped dyeing my hair, so now you can see my true colors shining through.
I like it, man. Those are some nice locks you got going there, brother. I can
Thanks.
relate. I'm getting a little right here, It's really it's
Okay.
getting scary. I'm trimming it a little lower and lower. Yeah, right on.
Yeah, it's
Well,
funny,
big
man.
congratulations to you on your Grammy nomination this year, and it's an incredible record. It's called The Juice.
Thank you.
It's out on Philadelphonic Records, right?
Yeah.
And and you've got like a host of incredible guest artists on this record: Marcus King, Robert Randolph,
Woo.
Keb Mo.
Oh yeah.
It just goes on and on. I've been listening to the record nonstop, and it's really, really dope,
Thank you.
man. Yeah. So tell me, this one is produced by Keb Mo. Have you worked with Keb in the past? Were you buddies? How did this come about?
Yeah, I mean this record was all about the collaboration and kind of reconnecting with Keb Mo. So yeah, we go all the way back actually. So in 1993, we were both signed to OKEH
Hmm.
slash Epic Records by Michael Kaplan, who was the A&R guy at the time, and and Michael signed Keb Mo first, and Keb later told me that it was kind of his last stab at trying to get a deal or whatever, and
Yeah.
he got a deal, and he already had his record done, and we got signed as well. So our journeys kind of started like that was kind of his journey as Keb Mo, not Kevin Moore.
Right.
He was an artist previously as Kevin Moore.
Okay.
So as Keb Mo and as G.Love, we started that same year as 1993, and I got dropped from I don't know if, how long Keb Mo was with Sony, but we got dropped October of 2001, shortly after 9/11.
Hmm.
So long story short, we kind of fast forward to about 5 or 6 years ago. Keb and I reconnected. We did a tour, and it was great to reconnect. And we got to jam out a couple of times, and that started the dialogue of, let's try and do something. And
Hmm.
so I had this idea. I said, what if we do like a I called. I said, Keb, you want to do like a back porch
Hmm.
blues duet record? He goes, gee, I just did my duet thing this year with Taj Mahal. So they had that was right after they finished the Taj Mahal record, which of
Yeah.
course went on to win a lot of awards
Yeah.
and sweep everything. And so, but he said, but I'd love to have you in the studio to produce you. And so I jumped at it, and that started, and that was it. And so the first day we sat down to make the record, Kev said, "Well, you know, what's your goal, man?" And I said, "Look, man, I wanna get a Grammy. You know,
Hmm.
that's my kind of goal. You know,
Yeah.
as far as you know, other than just making amazing music. You know,
Right.
my goal was to get a Grammy." And he said, "Well, I can help you with that." And of course, Kev's won 4 or 5 Grammys and been
Sure.
nominated for a whole gazillion. So he was like, in order to make that kind of record, it's a process. It's like you need to like everything has to be very thought out. It has to be purposeful. Like every lyric, every note, every performance by every player, including yourself, the way you approach every beat.
Hmm.
It's like a really like he's like a lot of think Keb Mo approaches the blues a lot differently than I have always approached the blues. Kev goes, gee, I know you like you love the sound like old chess records and the
Hmm.
Robert Johnson recordings and all these, and you want to have a dirty sound, but like, you know, you have to realize that when those artists made those records, they were working on their most technologically advanced equipment for their time. So when
Right.
I look at how I want to make a blues record, this Kev Mo talking, because I want to make a record that could stand up next to a Beyonce record or a Justin Bieber record, so a pop record.
Hmm.
And indeed, like the process of making this record, writing this record from the ground up, felt more like making a hip hop record than it did make a blues record, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh, we've been kind of doing this trash can blues sound with G.Love and Special Sauce, which throw up some mics and let us just get loose with it. But this was a whole different process of really and make he kept literally making beats
Right.
like a hip hop
Uh-huh.
producer would make. So that was kind of part of the process. So it was like I said, the process, and it was Keb Mo's process, and that was what it was all about.
Fantastic. And you did this in Nashville, Tennessee, right? Which isn't he? He lives here in Nashville, I believe. I live in Nashville.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's out in Franklin, so he has a cool studio in his house, and yeah, we did everything there. And yeah, it was great to be in Nashville, and
Is
you
that the
know
first time you've recorded in Nashville?
yeah, yeah, it was.
Right.
It was the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting place to record. I mean, it's sort of in the air down here. It's in the water, it's just, it's everywhere. Everyone here is somehow related to the recording business, it seems.
It's like the last stronghold of the music business.
Totally. Like
It's
yeah,
Noah's Ark.
it is. Totally is. I mean, I don't know how many people a day are moving from LA, New York, the other cities that were happening in the music business. They're all
Sure.
making the migration here to
Yeah.
Nashville. It's becoming Mecca, sort of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember following you on your Instagram page, which I've done for a long time. I have a few pages, but I've always followed you and watching that you were making this record with Keb Mo in Nashville, and I was like, wow, I wonder what that's going to be like. I mean, I wonder how much different. You mentioned the process, and will that process influence this record in a. I mean, how different is it going to be? But I felt like I listened to this and I'm like, I can hear sonically, of course, differences, and I hear his influence. But I have to say, I feel like he really. I mean, this is your record. This sounds like G.Love for show. You know what I mean? This doesn't sound like this became something entirely different. As far as I mean, I get the fact that you threw up the old microphones before, and you were going for a much more sort of a natural, sort of a lo-fi sound in the past.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. But other than that, I mean, these seem to be G.Love lyrics and G.Love melodies, and even though you brought in a bunch of other writers, I know I who was Gary Gary. I wrote
Gary
it.
Nicholson.
Gary Nicholson. How could I forget that name? He's a legend here in town. I mean, that guy's worked with everybody from you know Vince Gill to Garth Brooks to Patty Loveless, lots of country artists. T.
Yeah.
Green Brown, one of my absolute favorite sort of soulful country singers. But I mean, he produced two Delbert McClinton records, which actually
Yeah.
didn't they win? They won
Yeah.
his
They did.
contemporary Grammy. So
Yeah.
you were in really good company. How did that songwriting process go between the three of you guys, and were they like totally up for jumping into the G.Love world, or were they trying to drag you into another direction, or how did it all come down?
Yeah, so basically, so Kev goes, when we talked about making, doing just not a record, but just doing some tracks.
Right.
He said, all right, well, send me five songs that you feel most sincere and connected to,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Sincere about and connected to. All right. Well, I'm like, where are you going with this, man? Like, yeah, as a songwriter, right? Like, I don't think any of us would say, well, I'm not connected to this one, or I don't feel sincere about this one. You
Right.
feel
You
sincere
look.
about all of them, right?
Yeah.
So I said, all right, well, I just sent him, five that I was working on and that I felt that I wanted to put on a record.
Yeah.
So I sent it, and a week went by, and another week went by. I hear back from Keb, so I said, all right, well, fuck, now I got to, all right, hey, Keb, you get the tracks? He just wrote back, yes. Oh, shit, all right. What
Yeah.
did you think?
Yeah. Exactly.
I think you need to go with the songwriter. Oh, fuck. All right. Well, so, like, of course, I wanted to hear, like, these are great. But, like, I've been doing this for long enough. I got thick skin. So, especially when it comes to making records and hearing that my songs suck and that I got to write something different, you know. So, so fine. So, next thing, set a date. I'm gonna hook you up with Gary Nicholson. So I show up at Gary's house, and Gary's a funny guy, and come in his basement. He's got all his old guitars and all these plaques on the wall from all his Grammys and stuff. And wow, okay. Um, and so he said, well, what? He said, I don't think the music would be hard for us to come up with, but do you have some song ideas? So going through my phone, I got all my little song
Right.
ideas. So I had this one, Fix Your Face. And he said, "Oh, I like that one. Gee, I think Keb Mo would like the sentiment here." So we started working on "Fix Your Face," and we wrote the song. And I mean, Gary just took off running with it. So then, the next day, we took it into Keb Mo, and Keb Mo just tore it all down, and we built it all. Cause Keb's tough. Like, I'll come back to that, but you can't get anything by him. He had certain words that you couldn't put in a blues song. Like, the sentiment of the song is, "Fix your face. It only takes a while. You don't need no paint and powder. All you need is a little smile, right? So you don't need to put a makeup. It's just your smile makes you beautiful, right?" So we had one of the words we had in it was, your mascara's running, and Keb Mo says bluesmen don't say the word mascara. So he took that line out. But that was the kind of thing, like little nitpicking things. Nothing gets by Keb. So then we, went in. But like so then the rest of the tunes we wrote. Either Keb and I would start and bring Gary in. I don't think to this time that Gary really knows anything about me, because he said one thing that stood out to me was he said, "Oh yeah, gee, I was telling somebody that I was working with you. He said, oh yeah, G.Love. He's into blues," and this is Gary talking. Obviously, he goes, "I told him he has blues intentions." So Gary's like a one of a kind, and what a classic character, and he talked like that. I went to Quaker school in Philadelphia, and he reminded me like of our teachers that would say, "Would you like whole wheat or white bread with that?" you know. He said, "What if we did this?" But he always had great ideas, and actually, it's probably a first for him. But the song "Go Crazy," Keb had an idea. Oh no, Gary said Keb put this beat up. This is an example of how we started writing. It's collaborative, the three of us. So Keb put a beat up, and it was like a hip hop beat, and just started vibing. And then Gary goes, I mean, to tell you the truth, I had nothing on this particular moment. I was like, "What are these guys doing, man?" And then Gary goes, oh, "I got an idea, Kevin. What about I'm gonna lose my mind if I don't go crazy?" And I'm thinking like, man, I was like, man, I don't know. And then Kev's like, oh, I like it. So then Kev's at first I was like, no, that's corny. And Kev starts singing it. And then the minute Kev sings it,
Yeah.
it just sells it. He
Uh-huh.
sells it. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Now I see what you're doing. And then Gary wrote a rap. So this, I guarantee, is the first rap he wrote, man. And it was so funny. And then he rapped it on the mic, and his like phrasing, um, and just his accent when he gets into doing his thing is so fucking classic. And so this song ended up being the first single.
Yeah.
Go crazy. So and then yeah, so it was really cool. And those guys are funny because on that song "Fix Your Face," that first night we took it to Keb. You know, we got the lyrics, everything. We were gonna do the arrangement, and then go do my vocal. And Keb goes, "All right, sing the vocal, G. Fix your face, baby. No, no, hold on, not like that. Like this, like this. Fix your face, baby. All right, okay, let me try it again. Fix your face, baby. No, not like that, G. Like, you know." So this went on, and I shit you not, line, every line he grilled me on that. And all of a sudden, I looked over at the clock. And it's like 3 in the morning. I'm 40. I'm 48 now, so I was like 46. These guys are like well in their 60s. I'm like, I haven't been at because these days no one works so late in the studio.
Yeah.
It's like 3 in the morning. I'm like hanging out with these senior citizens. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? The next day, Kev goes, "Hey, G, you know I was just fucking with you, man. I just want to see if you're here to work."
Oh, wow. Wow. That's amazing. Setting the dynamic right away. That's a great track, though. I mean, both of those songs are great tracks. Seems like every time I listen to this record, I have a sort of a new favorite, which is a really great sign, I think. Yeah. And you know, I love Birmingham. I thought that was really dope with Robert Randolph. That guy really plays. I mean, what a
Oh
really
yeah.
he's incredible. Soul Barbecue with Roosevelt.
Soul BQ.
Soul Barbecue. Sorry. Soul Barbecue. Yeah, exactly. I dug Shine on Moon, which
Shine on Moon.
you wrote by yourself, right?
Yeah. That was well, just rewind. Birmingham was actually written by. That's the only song that, aside from just me writing a couple just by myself, that one was written with another writing partner of mine named who exists in a totally different world, Sam Hollander, who's
Hmm.
based out of L.A. and New York, and he's doing big, huge pop records. Like he wrote the Panic at the Disco song this year, High Hopes, as well as like other hits like Fits in a Tantrum. So you go into his studio, and he's got like, you know, Katy, all these crazy Katy Perry and Third Eye Blind and, you know, Panic at the Disco and all these mega pop records that he's
Hmm.
written for. So that record, the Birmingham record, but the same thing. He said, what are you trying to do this time?" And I was like, "Well, I'm trying to get a Grammy." He goes, "Okay, I like that lane for you, like the contemporary blues Grammy."
Hmm.
And he's a really smart writer. So these guys were all like, so it's like that focus from the beginning.
Right.
But yeah, and then Soul BQ, but Soul BQ, that's just real briefly. That was funny because we were writing that song, and then that was my actually, if you want to just break it down, that writing of that song in particular, and I feel like it's one of my best tunes I've ever gotten to sing, is because I just love it. Kev goes, "All right, so just play like an E chord, like how like your natural strumming rhythm that you do." So you know, I started. I just grab a guitar real quick. So I just started like, you know. Yeah, that's kind of a go-to kind of a. That's kind of like my go-to like strum if I was just like
Right.
picking up my guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Kev goes, "All right, cool." So we just put that up. So we started writing. Well, what do you want to write about? Well, you know, I was thinking it'd be interesting to kind of write about like, you know, I wanted to have a song that I can imagine like people filling into a venue with. That I would be the first song of a set,
Hmm.
and it's an invitation. come on into my house. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what it was. And then that turned into like a house party thing. So we got to the chorus, and Dr. John's a big influence of me. Rest in peace, Mac. And I always loved Dr. John because he makes up words. So when it came time to like, well, what's this party called? You know. Well, then I said, well, it's called a solbacue. Keb goes, what the fuck is a solbacue? That's some G.Love shit,
Yeah.
man.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Yeah.
So that was cool. And that one featured Roosevelt Collier, the amazing lap steel player
Yeah.
on the solo.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
But
Another,
I totally cut you off, Jamie. You were asking me something.
no, no, that's good. That's good. I want to hear what you have to say. I was just going to say though, the title track, "The Juice."
Mm.
I wanted to talk about that one because I really love the message in that song. You know, about coming together. You know, peace, creating a world for our children that they could live in. That's and it seems like I've seen you live before. And I feel like that is part of you. That message is really part of who you are, and I just wanted to see if I'm right, and and see if you may have any commentary on that song in particular, being that it is the title track, and I feel like it has a lot to say socially with what's going on in our world, what we've been experiencing. I'm not asking to be political at all, but just I love that about that tune. So for whatever it's worth, I dig that.
Well, thank you. That tune to me is kind of everything. It's kind of I feel like especially since I wrote it in 2016, it's been to me like the purpose of every show, the song that really like if I play that song, then me being on stage was worth something,
Mm-hmm.
and I still feel like that. And the process of that tune too was pretty cool. Like I mean just to be honest, that was a protest song, and that was kind of a knee jerk reaction. The verses to like I said, so right in 2016, shortly after Trump became president,
Mm-hmm.
and and that's the line because everyone knows he lies about everything. No more lies about this, no more lies about that. And then something bad news on the news every day, like like you're just bombarded with this. Are you kidding me? Like we pulled out the Paris Accord, and I mean whatever. All this every day it was something crazy, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Every day it would be a new thing, and it was like, wow, it was overwhelming, right? So that was what the lyrics of the verse are about, and when I took it to Keb Mo, I didn't have that change in it, and I didn't have the chorus was just me singing like "We got the juice," which isn't on the record, except for the live one.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which is also included on this record, by the way, the live recording, right?
oh, that's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like Keb, and this is just a testament to Keb as a songwriter, and just like everything I've been talking about, just like how he can boil stuff down. Like, what are you trying to? What are you really trying to say? And so he put this little change, which is the chorus change. He goes, all right, we got the juice, we got the love, and then I might have said, we got the dreams. And he
Mm-hmm.
might have said, we won't give up. We are the change. We had enough.
Mm-hmm.
We got the juice. And then he said, time's up. And I almost
Yeah.
fell on the floor. It was one of those just beautiful moments, getting to work with someone who's such an amazing writer,
Mm-hmm.
and then also to get to write that song with Keb Mo, who's an African American man who's of the age where he grew up. He grew up in Compton in Los Angeles, and he probably came of age during or was a kid but during the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
So Keb's not the kind of guy that necessarily gets really into a political discourse, but he a lot of his songs, he's always trying to be really positive and
Right.
put forth a good message, and whether he's trying to force feed you his politics, like he put a song this year like put a woman in charge, so he's a very socially conscious guy, and that tune to me was just all about you know was all about the it was a protest song. It was, and now moving into 2020. I mean,
Yeah,
It worked because we
absolutely.
got a new president, and I feel great about that. And,
Yeah.
and if people, and I'm heavy into the politics on the social media,
Hmm.
and using my platform to kind of speak about what I think is can benefit the world and benefit future generations
Hmm.
and benefit people. And I tend to be pretty progressive in my views, and my music is like that. And these days, you know, artists have always been the voice of protest, and artists have been the voice of dissent, and artists have been the voice of revolution, and artists have uh, sparked people to think and
Hmm.
consider things, and to hold forth values of love and empathy and caring about the world in general. That's how many of the songs that we love as a culture, as a society, as a worldwide culture, rock and roll,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Certainly the blues.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and these days, a lot of people look. Hey, look. If you and I don't have the same political views, hey man, that's fine. You know what I mean? But don't tell me like, oh, the people love to say, oh, I like your music. You should stick to entertaining. I don't want to hear about your politics. What? That's all music has ever been is politics. And if you think that this is just happening now, because if you missed my message since I started putting records out in 1993, I mean, my message has been the same since I've been 15 years old. Like
Right.
putting forth love and peace, love, and happiness,
Right
and try
on.
to make this world a better place. And
Hmm.
so, and I take that very seriously, and that's something that you know, so I feel like these days artists are falling into a trap where like everyone's worried about like, well, I don't want to lose a ticket buying or a record buying member of my, or I don't want to audience, or I don't want to lose any followers on social media, so I'm not really gonna say, or I'm gonna what I feel, or I'm gonna write all this middle of the road bullshit.
Hmm.
Like, hey, the way I look at it is like always find a niche. You know what I mean? And be specialized in what you're specialized. So if you lose some followers saying what you really feel or who you really are, so be it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Don't be afraid of that.
I'm
That's
with,
just my take on it, man.
and mine as well. I agree with you 100%.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that because if you didn't agree with me, I was going to unfollow you right away.
That's the way of the world, though, right? That is the way
Yeah,
of the world.
Feel like, I'm going to unfollow you. Okay, cool, man. What does that got to do with me? Like,
Exactly.
you didn't buy a t shirt at the last show, anyhow, man.
Oh, that's great. Well, you mentioned
Oh,
you've
man.
been writing this. This kind of sentiment has been evident in your music since the beginning. And so, if you don't mind, let's go back to the beginning. You're from Philadelphia, a very diverse city, a city with people from all walks, all races, all colors, religions, the whole nine yards. And I said in my introduction of you that you include all of these different things in your music. I just think it's really interesting that you mixed blues and rap from the very beginning, and I know we're pretty much the same age. So those were the kinds of things, rap music for sure, hip hop, early hip hop. I've heard you mention the Beastie Boys in other interviews before. Eric B. and Rakim, thinking about a master plan. that's,
Oh,
that's the
yeah, man.
that's like one of my favorites.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. So where and when did it? Well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I want to know when you got introduced to the blues, because just because you're from an urban city, you grew up in the '80s. So, blues wasn't like on our doorstep in the '80s. It wasn't really. You'd have to struggle to find a great radio station. Maybe some sort of NPR station would
Sure.
play some stuff like that. How did you get introduced to blues music? Because it's such a part of what you who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so and actually I was gonna mess with you and say, hey man, are we supposed to be talking harmonicas? So this has everything to do with playing harmonica, because so I so I'm just gonna preface it by saying Philadelphia is a really diverse culture, like you said, and musically it is too, because it's one of the origin a lot of the originators of hip hop started in Philadelphia, like New York
Mm-hmm.
and Philadelphia,
Hmm.
and there's also the Philadelphia Folk Song Society and the Folk Fest, which brings a lot of folk, bluegrass, and blues.
Hmm.
And so if you're tuned into that at all, you're going to see, uh, maybe get a chance to see some cool people. And then there was that NPR station XPN, still there, great
Okay.
supporter of my career.
Yeah.
And there was this guy Johnny Meister who had the blues show on Sunday, or whatever. So those three things, um, that's my ears and eyes were being exposed to that.
Yeah.
So my journey as a harmonica player started. I was a guitar player first, but when I
Hmm.
was 15, I saw my guitar teachers, or 13. Maybe I thought I was 15 when I saw my guitar teacher's band play. And he had a harmonica player
All
in
right.
it, and I thought it was so cool. So my best friend, now my manager, and I, Jason Brown, um, we both took one lesson from this guy Dave, and he said go get a special 20. So we
Okay.
got a special 20 in the key of C, and we
Mhm.
learned how to play the train rhythm and how to bend a note, and
Right
that was
on.
it. And then from the rest of there, that kind of sent me on my journey. I got a harmonica rack,
Hmm.
um, right away, which again, this is 1986. All my friends were listening to The Cure and
Yeah.
playing like a Cure cover band.
Hmm.
So I started playing a harmonica on the rack. So now I found my parents' Bob Dylan Greatest Hits Volume 1 in the basement. So that started really getting me on. And then, so the first big influences were Dylan and Neil Young,
Okay.
right? So I started writing songs. And then once I started writing songs, I wanted to get out there and play them in front of people. So I started going to some open mic nights as a young teenager. Well, turns out I wasn't the only person influenced by Dylan and Neil Young,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know what it was, but something inside of me said I got to be different. So I went to the record store and I said, "Is there any record that you could recommend, solo acoustic, one guy playing guitar, singing, and playing a harmonica?" He said, "Yep." Gave me a John Hammond record, Country Blues, which was
Hmm.
a 1962 Vanguard or 64 Vanguard Records release.
Hmm.
And John's famous for doing his own renditions of blues songs.
Classic.
So
Yeah.
on that record was like a roadmap, man. It was like, you know, songs by Willie Dixon, Sleepy John Estes, and Howlin' Wolf,
Mm.
and State Spirit, Robert Johnson, Traveling Riverside Blues. So, and the way he was playing harmonica, whoa, man, it was a totally different thing.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden it was like, whoa, not taking anything away from Dylan and Neil Young, right? And
Right.
both of
They,
them are
they
true
do what they do
masters.
great. Yeah. Sure.
But there's a whole different thing,
Hmm.
right? So now the blues harp. So now, okay, now, and then the next John Hammond record I got was So Many Roads. I like it so much I have it tattooed on my
Oh, wow, man.
chest.
Hey, killer.
uh, but Charlie Musselwhite was the harmonica player on that one. That was
Mhm.
electric harp. So
Sure.
that then I got my bullet mic and would practice along with that. So yeah, that was my intro to the blues, was John Hammond,
I
and that
dig.
stuck with
I dig it. So you did you start when you were, I guess your teacher was teaching you bends, you were starting in on second position harmonica right away. I mean
me. Yeah,
you weren't really you were playing in the rack a la Dylan and Young, but you were playing blues style harmonica from the beginning.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right.
But also I was playing like, but also too like also was playing the first position, the folky
Mm-hmm. Okay.
style, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But not getting into the Jimmy Reed stuff, the high end stuff yet.
Right.
But then everything. I mean, everything I can't stress enough. Like everything that I do on harmonicas, sure. Like, I've done my time studying Charlie Musselwhite, and
Mhm.
like his big influences like Junior Wells and Little Walter um, and Sonny Boy Williamson's the great blues
Mhm.
harmonica players. But like John Hammond to me, and Sonny Terry too, but John Hammond to me like was encompassing a lot of what all those guys are doing and doing it on the rack and doing things on the rack. The only other person that, if you trace back, who were the original blues guys doing on the rack? Well, yeah, like people like Jesse Fuller and then like most famously like Jimmy Reed.
Hmm.
And Jimmy Reed's playing is so unique because of the space that he's making, and yeah, the mostly the space. I think he's really playing melodic, where John's like kind of moshing up everybody's thing. So
Right.
John Hammond was, and particularly like the rack playing was something that I was really interested in, and playing stuff that you wouldn't think you regularly play on a rack,
Hmm.
right?
For sure. I mean, it's difficult on the rack, right? It's more. Well, you've been doing it forever, but for a guy who plays with his hands mostly, like myself, putting it in a rack, it's like it's a whole other experience.
Yeah, like it's definitely like to your point. Like if I'm a lot of times if I'm in the studio, because I play it, if I'm trying to play the same feel on the rack or handheld, well, I can't because like they're gonna sound differently. So a lot of times, if even if I'm overdubbing
Hmm.
and I already did a guitar, I'll cut it with playing the rack,
Uh-huh.
right? Because I'll play it differently when it's
Sure.
on the rack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, makes total sense, man. Makes total sense. Well, and you made this incredible blend between all of these different styles. It's really fantastic. And you mentioned Jimmy Reed, and I've heard you do like the high stuff, where you go up and hit, the high below bends, and it's just fantastic. You're really a adept harmonica player, and I have to be honest. I'm almost embarrassed to say this. I didn't know that until I saw you live. I knew you played and I knew you played well, but I didn't know how well you played until I saw you live.
Thanks,
And
man.
yeah, I saw you maybe it was early last year at a Coast Projects event on Stock Island down near.
Oh, and Key West. Okay.
Yeah, which was kind of a small show with you and Langhorne Slim.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it
And
was
Raylan Baxter.
Raylan Baxter, and I was just blown away. You have incredible tone, that a fantastic throat vibrato. I was just like, I just stood there. It was, one of those moments that, I'm a fan, and I wish you
Thank you.
lots and lots of success. I could talk to you forever. I know you've got a lot going on, so I won't keep you all day. But if you have a second before you split, would you mind? We've been doing occasionally this thing called the Lick of the Week,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of folks out there that would love to hear you play. And if you have a lick for us, a lick of the week, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and just I'll just gonna just lean over here and get the, because I figured we were talking about the rack, so let me do my lick on the rack,
Right on.
and and I just want to talk real quick about like some of the things that like so like this riff, like here let me just show you like um some of the things I got from John Hammond, and there's like I always kind of do these three things. So they're kind of traditional blues licks, but these are invaluable for soloing, especially for building up a solo. So you have your kind of blues, and then you can of course like do that a lot more. You know what I mean? So you got that trill, and then we have like almost like guitar kind of lick. So you, and then if you just kind of keep that going for as long as you can,
Right.
and then the reverse of that is this. That's the type of shit I got from John Hammond, and one of the great tracks that I would, for any harp player, especially anyone that's messing with the rack, is John Hammond's Jockey Blues from his Nobody But You record produced by J.J. Cale. It's a solo performance, and it is the most ferocious solo acoustic blues performance, uh, and just the phrasing and the harmonica soloing on that is worth a listen for any harp player. So I want to leave you with a lick from my new record. So I go like this. It's don't if I don't go crazy, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah.
But if I mess up. So, and the last thing I'll say for any harp players out there is like, what my goal is as a harp player right now is to be making like, always trying to make it like a sticky part, right?
Hmm.
So, there's another song I have called "Can't Go Back to Jersey." It's in the key of B, so I play with an E harp. I just got a D harp right now, so, but so that's
Right.
like a part, you know what I mean? So like
Totally.
I try to do harp riffs that I could that in a hip hop sensibility that like I cut them in as if a DJ was cutting them in.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my approach
Super
to
hooky.
writing. Yeah, trying to make a harp hook.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Yeah,
that's it's like a theme, right? I do that a lot myself. Yeah,
yeah.
and those are great ones. Those are great ones. In fact, the first two that you did, I do those all. I do those all the time. Those are great. I put those in.
I mean, yeah, because
I love them. They're great.
that's kind of and then kind of the end of the solo. Because once you get to that's my reed sticking back. Once you get up there, that's kind of be your climax, of your solo, right? Because there's really not too many places to go.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so take your time getting up there.
Good advice from G.Love. I love it. I know it
And,
looks like you're playing a. Is this a Marine band that you're playing? What are you playing right now?
yeah. I play in Marine bands. Yeah, Mahona Marine bands.
Is that your
Um,
go-to harp these days?
yeah, it has been. Like I said, my first harp was Special 20, but then you know, like I was studying the John Hammond record. I noticed that he had a
Yeah.
like I said, like I was a kid. He's my
Sure.
idol, my
Yeah.
biggest influence as an adult.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, Marine band, and I know little Walter used them. I know John uses these kind of rebuilt Marine bands. There's a lot of people that do a lot of interesting things to store bought Marine bands. But mine's just straight off the shelf, and
Out the
thanks to
box.
good people at Honer for the support.
Yeah. By the way, thanks for the good people who are supporting this podcast as well. They've been fantastic, and I couldn't have done it without them. And when we were talking about people that we wanted to have on the show, your name immediately came up, and it was like, oh yes, we got to do that. We got to do that. So grateful that you took some time to spend a little time with me today on the Harpslinger podcast. Super duper cool. I hope after you win this Grammy, bro.
Oh yeah!
After you win this Grammy, I hope you'll come back on the show at some point and we can celebrate it, and maybe we'll have a Christmas joint.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I want to leave you with another funny harmonica saying I have.
Okay.
Okay. So whenever someone says, "Teach me how to play harmonicas," well, the very first thing I'm going to teach you is that if you're a harmonica player, never ask to sit in.
That's the truth.
Because you want to get good enough that you'll be asked to sit in, and I'm saying that jokingly, but at the same time, everybody knows everybody that's done gigs is always wary of the aspiring harmonica player that's holding a harmonica in the audience,
Yeah.
jamming in the wrong key
Yeah.
during the band's performance.
Yeah, it's so true, man. It's I fell prey to that when I moved to New York City right out of school, and I was the aspiring harmonica player as you just described, and I every weekend I was out with my case of harps, and I was like going around. I had some places that I would always want to go and check out on the Village Voice, and try to sit in with everybody I could, and they always gave me the stink eye, and as soon like they knew either that was a clarinet in my case, which they definitely didn't want, or they thought it was a harmonica player. They're like, steer clear of this guy. But eventually,
Yeah, harmonica players have it kind of rough, but we got it pretty good too. But yeah, man, it's at the same time, man. Once you get a foot in the door, man, you can sit in with anybody
that's
because
it. Yeah, and it's easy to carry around. You don't
that's right. That's
lug in
right.
an amp when necessarily if you're sitting in. Yeah,
Except for when you sit in with a band and they want to mess with you. Go, oh yeah, this next song is in in G sharp. So this one's in D flat. Oh man, you fucker.
Some minor keys, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. Well, all the best to you, man. We're pulling for you. I know the guys at Honer are super stoked
Oh
about this.
man.
And
Thank you guys for the support, and it's been great catching up, Jamie. And yeah, everybody out there, if you want to get and keep in touch with me, I'm at Philly G.Love on Instagram, G.Love on Twitter, G.Love and Special Sauce on Facebook, Philadelphonic.com, and the new record's G.Love the Juice, produced
it
by
is the
Keb Mo.
juice.
Thank
Yeah,
you guys.
you got it, brother. Thanks so much. Have a great day, man. Happy
You
holiday.
too.
Take
All
care.
right, peace.
Bye bye.